I really miss it, actually. I would love to do that kind of stuff again. But yeah, so all right, Brandon asks, what do I think of net neutrality? The repeal, the fact that the FCC just undid it. How to sum up? Well, to put it, just the short answer is I think it super sucks, and it's really bad for the general population, the customer, like the consumers of the world, and like just the general population of the internet. I think getting rid of net neutrality is a horrible move for us, the average person, and most businesses, honestly. The only companies that it really benefits are the monopolies that are trying to obtain a chokehold on providing access to the internet. I mean, which is honestly a gold mine. And to kind of play devil's advocate for a second, if you could obtain a chokehold on people accessing the internet, you're God. I mean, that is a godlike position. If you could control how people access certain websites, and by control I mean control what businesses can even provide services over the internet. Let's say if you're Comcast, and you can say, you know what, Netflix, you use way too much bandwidth. We don't like you. And banhammer. You can't, people cannot access Netflix anymore. It's blocked. The lack of net neutrality would let them do that. It does let them do that. They can do whatever the hell they want. The providers. ISPs. And how does that seem like the World Wide Web? By definition, if anyone can please tell me, how is that the World Wide Web? To allow the ISPs to filter. I mean, when you look at countries like North Korea, or sometimes even like China, the way they filter the internet and just have a lockdown where all internet traffic that goes in and out of the country, and even to some degree the UK, Great Britain, filters certain things. I have always looked outward at those situations and gone, man, that sucks. That would suck to be inside that country where the government sticks their nose in the internet and can just decide to block a bunch of websites and stuff. For example, Facebook is blocked in a handful of countries around the world. Twitter is blocked in a few countries around the world. Google has to make separate versions of their search engine for certain countries so that it doesn't bring up the kind of web results that government would get upset about. Not a lot of people know that, but as a web developer, I'm painfully familiar with that. That when you're trying to get your website ranked up on Google, internationally, it's a whole different ballgame. There's a different version of Google for a lot of different countries, so that it will play nice with the rules and regulations that government has in their country. So anyway, you can look at examples around the world where overreach, too much, invasive control is already happening, by governments. And it's not hard to see how that is just not fun, not cool. It's not the internet. It's not the open, free, space that connects the whole world. That's the spirit of the internet. is the World Wide Web, where anyone and anything, everyone and everything can be connected. You know what I mean? It's not the spirit of it, and heaven knows, companies that want to have a monopoly, I don't trust them as far as I could throw them in terms of having the consumer's best interests at heart. They're going to have their wallet's best interests at heart. I mean, you know, that's not rocket science. They're going to do whatever it takes to get as much money as they possibly, to squeeze every dollar out of every source that they possibly can. That's business. Unfortunately, that's kind of the dark underbelly of capitalism. Is it's dog eat dog, and the dollar is God. That's it. The almighty dollar is God, and it doesn't matter who you have to step on to get more of those dollars. It's just a rat race. So losing net neutrality, I think, is one of the most depressing things for the average consumer and for people in the tech business that are not part of those ISP monopolies, like Time Warner and Quest, or CenturyLink, I should say. Time Warner, CenturyLink, Comcast, Cox Internet, like all the big ISPs. And there's another thing some people don't know, that the ISPs, this is another thing that's not necessarily common knowledge. All the big ISPs, they have this pact.
This is a highly sophisticated doohickey. If you don't use it responsibly, kablamo!
I love that. Thanks for the host, NPW. I kind of forget that I attached that sound effect to when people host my channel. It makes me laugh every time. So here's a ISP stands for Internet Service Provider. So it's just companies that you pay to get on the internet. You know, Comcast, Time Warner, Cox, and I will allow that, Zizix, because it's accurate. Automod caught that, but I'll allow it because it's freaking accurate. Let's see. So, let's see. Where was I? Konami, I'm 12, yo. No swearing. 12 and going to university. Wow. Zizix, gimme gold. I know, dude. I know. I know. You and me both are working on Phoenix right now, and it's painful. Speaking of gold, let's go farm some. So, okay, here's the other thing that's not necessarily common knowledge unless you work in the industry. The internet service providers, the big ones, they have kind of a mafia treaty. They have like a treaty, like an alliance. And it's like this unofficial thing that only happens behind closed doors, where they all understand that monopoly is the best way for them to make money. Well, maybe not the best, but it's the most, I don't know, is a way for them to make money, right? A guaranteed way. So what they do is they have this behind closed doors agreement, this pact, that they divide up major markets and don't step on each other's toes. So the whole reason that, like, in a certain city, Comcast is pretty much the only game in town is because Cox has agreed to stay out of their way for that city. And in return, the next big major market up the street, Comcast has agreed to stay out of Cox's way. and so on and so forth all across the United States. So if you live in Los Angeles, Los Angeles County is huge, so you tend to have multiple options. That's a kind of an exception. But in cities like Denver, for example, there's essentially a monopoly where only one big dog plays there. And the rest of the big dogs, leave them alone. And then when you move over to Dallas, Texas, another big dog gets that territory, and everyone else leaves them alone. They have this like unspoken agreement that they kind of divide up the cities so that every single one of them can still have a monopoly wherever they do business. So when you combine that business model with the lack of net neutrality, that is bad news, man. Because the internet service providers have all understood and agreed behind closed doors to allow each other to have monopolies in whatever city they're doing business in. And you take away net neutrality, trust me, the structure is already there for monopolies to have a total chokehold wherever they're doing business. The structure's already there. So if you remove those laws that say they can't be too dominating about it, the structure's already in place. It would be like snapping your fingers for these companies to then do whatever the hell they want, because they have total control in whatever city they're the big dog in. It's bad news, guys, for all of us and for any businesses that provide internet services. And if you're not an ISP, every other business in the world is probably pretty nervous about this, unless they're in bed with the ISP and they make some sort of deal. Which again puts the ISP in like a mafia kind of position where they can strong arm companies into doing whatever they want out of fear. They can threaten and go, well, you know what, Hulu? You're gonna do this for us and pay us this fee and stuff, these millions of dollars, because you use tons of bandwidth, blah, blah, blah. You're gonna do this for us, or we're gonna cut you off. Like mafia style, they can intimidate and bully whoever they want. And the sad part is, some major corporations that provide services on the internet will do it because they can't afford not to. They can't afford to lose the business from consumers. You know? Google is, now that they have Google Fiber, they're in the ISP business. I'm on them. I'm one of their customers. Now that I'm in my new place, I am on Google Fiber. And Google's not happy about this, which is actually comforting, because Google is, you know, about as big of a player on the internet as it gets. You know? So yes, exactly. Zizix makes a great point. Zizix says the worst part is even if you go to some of the smaller ISPs in the same region, they're most likely buying internet access from the big dog. That's true. The littler companies that you can go as an alternative to like Comcast or someone, a lot of the time they're just leasing internet access from Comcast and reselling it. So Comcast can squeeze out the smaller competitors. It's bad for business, you guys. The only people that think this is great in business are the ones that would benefit from this, kind of chokehold and monopoly. And the FCC as a government agency, this is a perfect example of government corruption. I'm sorry. I'm not a conspiracy theorist kind of person, all right? Just put that out there. But it's just, you know, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Sometimes the facts just speak for themselves. The FCC, Federal Communications Commission, that governs things like telephone lines and the internet and, and cell phone companies, anything that, communications. The FCC, United States government agency, the fact that they are catering to these monopolistic corporations, it's such a dead giveaway who they're in bed with. It's not even, a veiled thing. Why would a government agency be so quick to repeal net neutrality, something that actually is better for the economy overall? The majority of the economy, net neutrality is better. Why would the FCC do that? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So somebody is scratching someone else's back. That's not rocket science. I mean, that just makes it pretty freaking obvious that there's some sort of, special relationship going on there. Otherwise, why would the FCC be like jumping at the gun to be like, yeah, let's repeal it. Quick, as fast as we can. Why? Why do they care? I'll tell you why they care. The United States government has a plague, a cancer called the revolving door situation, where when you're in government, a lot of the time, it's a circle where the CEO of a certain company will then be offered a government position. So they go work for the government for, 15 years. And it's a known thing that when they're done working for the government, there's a job waiting for them as a CEO again in a large corporation, because they help each other out. So the CEO of this company will say, I'm going to go be, a government official for a while. While I'm a government official that controls things relating to certain corporations, I'm going to kind of court, flirt with these companies and say, you do something for me, I'll do something for you. The companies are like, hey, lobbyists, right? There's a, thing called the lobby. Lobbyists are business people who go to the government and say, look, if you make it easier for us to do what we want to do, we will do certain things for you, so that when you get out of your government job, we have a very high paying corporate job waiting for you. So they trade favors. So honestly, the FCC, the chairman of the FCC right now used to be a high paid executive for an ISP. That's real. That's real. The chairman of the FCC right now in the government used to be a high paid executive for an internet service provider. You tell me what's going on there. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. So, anyway, Brandon, there's my giant soapbox of Brandon, and it is big news. We're online gamers, right? I mean, it's not, strictly Marvel Future Fight news, but we're online gamers, right? So ultimately, at the end of the day, this is something we should all be aware of as online gamers. It will definitely affect us in some way or another. Anyone who uses the internet as a consumer. So, it's super obvious what's going on there. I'm going to look up exactly which company the FCC chairman, used to work for. Let's see. Alright, found him on Wikipedia. Career. He used to work for Verizon. He used to work for Verizon, an internet service provider. Well, what a coincidence. Oh my gosh, dude. Yep. So the current chairman of the FCC used to work for Verizon. What a coincidence. Okay? This is not rocket science, you guys. It's not even hard to figure out why they are scratching each other's backs. So yeah, Zizix is like, lucky for me, I'm not in the US. I know, man. Oh, Zizix called it. Verizon. Yeah, you already knew. Already knew. So. Konami says, basically ISPs be like, gimme gold. Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's exactly what's going on. Oh my gosh. Nice. Blame this one on Net. Oh. Zizix says, Brandon, unfortunately, you can't blame this one on Netmarble, Bob. Yeah, no kidding. Boom, 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 boom. La 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 la. So, that is easily the biggest, you know, like, widely relevant news for all online gamers right now. And it's current. It's very topical right now. So, even though this is a, you know, Twitch gaming channel, it's extremely relevant. Because online gaming. Oh yeah, by the way, just how Comcast was threatening and squeezing out Netflix and Hulu. Guess who else uses a truckload of bandwidth and is very similar to Netflix in a way? Twitch. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. Here we all are on Twitch. I'm a Twitch streamer. And then let's say Comcast does the same thing to Amazon. And says, hey, Twitch is, you know, a beast on the internet. Pay us millions of dollars every month because of how much bandwidth you use, or we'll block you. Or throttle the hell out of you so that nobody can watch Twitch, really. It'll be buffering the entire time. That's what they did to Netflix. So, this is actually very relevant news to us right now, all of us sitting here on Twitch. Net neutrality is a threat to Twitch. Or not, pardon me, the lack of net neutrality, the repeal of net neutrality is a threat to Twitch. So, yep, Brandon, that's right. We will all have to wait and see what happens, and hopefully we will all continue the fight. If you didn't know what to do to help, look up John Oliver net neutrality. And he did an episode on YouTube where he made it really easy for people to go submit their support. You're basically signing a petition and to the FCC that you support net neutrality. Yeah, the Go FCC yourself. Yep, I participated in that. I went and submitted my name as a supporter. GoFCCyourself.com. You can go, that'll take you straight to the FCC website where you can submit. And we can thank John Oliver for that. He's such a cool guy. Oh my gosh. Brandon says, you know, Canada's always an option. Tell me about it, man. So, yeah, as Twitch fans and as a Twitch streamer, net neutrality is very important to all of us. So, anyway, I don't mind taking some time on that either today. You know, out of a 6-hour stream, spending like 30 minutes talking about that, it's fine by me. It's important to raise awareness. So, there you go. Great question, Brandon. Great question. Very, very relevant to us right now. Yep. And to Zizek's point, it is going to make life hell for server admins and tech support people, because whenever the ISP starts throttling a service, everyone's going to call Netflix support and be like, I can't watch Netflix. It's constant buffering. What's wrong? What's wrong with Netflix? What's wrong with Netflix? Or everyone's going to submit trouble tickets to Twitch and say, what's wrong with Twitch? What's wrong with Twitch? And Twitch tech support is going to have a hellish time trying to deal with all the customers, you know, who are like, why can't I watch Twitch? I'm a paid subscriber. And I can't watch my favorite streamer. It's buffering constantly. Come on, Twitch, do your job. And Twitch is going to have to suck it up and be like, we'll do the best we can, but right now we're trying to figure out. They'll do the, you know, announcement. We're trying to figure out what the network problem is. In the meantime, Twitch executives are going to get on the phone to Comcast and be like, guys, you're killing us. And Comcast will be like, yup, that's the point. Gimme gold. So, yeah, exactly. And they did it to YouTube too. That's a great point, Brandon. They did it to YouTube for a while too. Throttled the hell out of YouTube. There was a period of time a while back when net neutrality expired for a little while before they renewed it. Because, you know, it was good for like 2 or 3 years and then it expired, the law, and then they had to renew it. There was a little period of time where it was expired that Comcast throttled Netflix and Hulu really bad, and they throttled YouTube. So there was a period of time where YouTube was crap to try and watch. Buffering, and half the time videos would just time out, where the YouTube player would just be like, we're having trouble playing this video for you. Please try again later. Because it was throttled so bad that you couldn't even watch the video. That happened. Like that was real. That happened. Like, it's not alarmism saying, oh no, this might happen. Nope. There are examples where it already did happen. The instant internet service providers had the chance to control the internet, they did. We don't have to use our imagination to figure out what that would be like. They've already done it before. They already showed us what they're willing to do. So, to be concerned about it right now is based on reality, based on track record. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm so frustrated by it that I can't think about it very often. When it comes up, I will do my part. I submitted my name. I signed the petition to the FCC. I went to the GoFCCyourself.com and I participated, gave my support. But then the rest of the time, I kind of have to take my mind off of it because it's so frustrating to see corruption win. To see corporate corruption and just money control the government. It's so frustrating. In the land of the free, the United States. I can't. I can't even deal that crap. NPW says, so chill.